Hey there, good morning to you. It's just after 9:30 and it's Tuesday morning, September the 24th, 2019. I might be a bit close to the old microphone there, maybe. Maybe a little bit. Maybe I'll just push back a bit there and make it easier for myself. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. Had a good couple of nights rest, which is unusual for me, but sometimes you feel a bit more. You feel a bit, I don't know, unrested. Does that make any sense? You feel a bit more tired sometimes when you get longer. When you sleep for longer, you feel a bit more groggy. I kind of felt a bit like that this morning. But anyway, I'm in good form. Loads to talk about. Very quick couple of hellos. Very quick, by the way. Hi to JW Suicides. Thanks so much for the super chat donation. I appreciate it, mate. Thanks to Matt in Massachusetts for the same. I appreciate that as well. Thanks for pointing out, JW, that I don't push it. No, I've never pushed the donations. Never. I just don't. I don't believe in it. I don't prostitute myself. I make a radio program. The only source of income it has is you, the listener, and the viewer. This is the radio program I'm talking about, not this nonsense. And you support it or you don't. And it's not greatly supported. It never has been. And that might have, well, we'll talk about that again because that might have implications for 2020. We'll talk about that again in the future. But no, I don't push it at all. But the radio program needs a constant stream of support. It needs more people to set up monthly donations through the website. That's all I'll say about it. Thanks for that, JW. Hi to Marty, to Cromwell Baird, 51 Project, to John Parsons, who's in Wolverhampton. Polluting the planet. He says, how you doing, John? Mel, Gallagher, Carr, Denny, Julie Walters, Dick, Scratcher. Let me move on down very quickly. I got to do this quickly because there's lots to get into. To Grog a lot, Megatree Rat. Let me go on down there. Jennifer Garcia. Good morning, Jennifer. Good morning, Dawn B. Good morning, Dawn. John Grammaticus. Good morning, Rose Williams. Graham Booth. How you doing, Graham? Triggerwarning.tv. Emily P. Scotty Bolton. Ian Hilpus. Nigel Perrott. The Sheriffess, yeah. Bob Wimpenny, miserable weather out there. Pierre, hi to Red Squirrel, Gina and Sir Hubert and PB Awake, Olan Pierce, Gail, and so on. Threat to Glumberg. Not going to read any more because I'll be here all day. And I have work to do. I have a radio show to produce. No staff, just me. To produce 2 hours of radio, and I've got to do that. So, Christ, I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to mess it up, but I'm going to do it anyway. When I say I'm going to mess it up, I'm probably going to stumble through it. But Allison Shablow, who's been on the radio program a couple of times, the musician, the satirist, and the scourge of Zionists in the United Kingdom. There's Allison. Yesterday afternoon, Alison was jailed for 8 weeks for breaching her probation. She was jailed for 8 weeks for breaching her probation. Part of the terms... Well, first of all, let me tell you why Allison Shablow was on probation to begin with. What's happened here? Because again, I said I don't want to mess this up, but I'll just mess it up, won't I? It's what I'll do. I don't want to give you any information that's incorrect. Let me just bring it up here for you. So Allison Shablow, who was on the radio show a couple of times, was convicted last year of 2 counts last year of sending, got to get this right, you see, an offensive, indecent or menacing message through a public communications network. That's what she was convicted of. And a third charge relating to another song on YouTube. That was the conviction last year. 2 counts of sending an offensive, indecent or menacing message through a public communications network, which was YouTube. She wrote satirical songs about Anne Frank and about the Holocaust. And in the songs, you might remember, she referred to Auschwitz as a theme park, which I can understand some people finding offensive. But while I made it very clear during my conversations with Allison Shablow that I didn't agree with a lot of the things that she stood for, I certainly didn't agree that she could be found guilty of sending offensive messages through a public communications network and that she should be given any sort of custodial sentence, whether suspended or not. I said at the time that regardless of what I thought about what it is she stands for, that I could never condone anybody being sent to prison, again, suspended or not. And yesterday she was sent to prison because of something they said, unless that person was clearly inciting people to commit acts of violence against people and the property of people. For me, that's the threshold. It always has been. Incitement to violence, quite rightly, is a criminal offence, and quite rightly, repeated offenders can expect a custodial sentence. But singing songs, laughing at an event in history, however strong people might feel about that event in history, singing songs challenging that narrative or downright disbelieving it, is no grounds, in my opinion, for sending somebody to prison. So she was given a suspended sentence, 20 weeks, suspended for 2 years. She was banned from social media for a year, for 12 months. And this is why she was dragged back into court yesterday, because it was alleged that she had breached that particular term of her probation. It was alleged that she had continued to use social media. She contended that she didn't. She contended that she continued to write articles on her blog, a WordPress blog. And so far as I can understand, that's exactly what she was doing. She also suspended comments on that blog so that she wouldn't fall foul of communicating with people. She disabled the comments section on her blog. But it mattered not. Yesterday she was found to be in breach of the conditions of her bail, of her probation, effectively. And she's been banged up for 8 weeks. And this is a fucking disgrace. You're living in a totalitarian country. This is fascism. I don't care how annoying Allison Shablow might be to you. I don't care how wound up you might get because your great aunt or great uncle might have died in Treblinka or Sobibor or Dachau or Auschwitz. And I happen to know people whose grandparents were starved to death in Auschwitz. People I know through the radio show going back years. I'll argue with you till I'm blue in the fucking face that this is a tyranny. To lock a woman up, essentially, because she has a point of view. However, as I said, annoying, however ugly, however horrible you might find that point of view to be, we're in a bad place. Aren't we? And that's in the Mail today. Nobody is sticking up for the right. We don't have laws against Holocaust denial in the UK, nor should we have. Nor should we have. Can never be made against the law. You can never introduce punitive measures against people, against sovereign individuals, because they don't believe something that you have told them they must believe. Now, I'll say it again, in case there are people who are a bit fucking thick-like and are not listening to what I'm saying. I don't agree with the points of view expressed by Allison Shablow. And I'm not virtue signalling to the Jews or to the Zionists. I've got a lot of problem with Zionists, problems even, and a lot of problems with the state of Israel. And I have a lot of problems with some of the things that are claimed to have happened in Nazi Germany. And some of the things that are claimed to have happened in the camps. As I have said before, I don't hide behind it. Lampshades made out of skins and all that old nonsense. Got a lot of problems I have with some of the claims made post Second World War. Jews were rounded up, victimised, beaten, killed, starved, locked up. Of course they were. We know this. Not for the first time in history either. It's not the only Holocaust though, is it? But anyway, I'm not getting into that. Not today. Not anytime soon. I'm sick of it, to be honest. I'm sick of the Holocaust. Said this on Twitter. Sick of it being rammed down my throat. More films coming out this year. That's how I feel about it. Banging this woman up for 8 weeks is shocking. And it is completely unjustifiable. But the charity, the campaign against anti-Semitism, led by one of the greatest, the most wretched cowards in human history, Gideon Falter, complete arsehole, who refuses to debate anybody, anywhere, anytime, lest he be asked some questions about his own behaviour and the behaviour of some of the other trustees of the campaign against anti-Semitism. They run for the hills, scurrying around in the darkness, screaming at people, labelling people things, calling them names, but then running away from those people they have labelled and categorised and libelled. Running away. So they're crowing triumphantly today. It's brilliant this, that she's been banged up. It's not brilliant. It's not brilliant. And there are many Jewish men and women today, again, who will have had a personal connection to the concentration camps. I know there will be many Jewish men and women who will be saying, this is profoundly fucking wrong, this. Regardless, again, of how annoying somebody like Allison Shablow is or might be. And that's in the mail today. I'm going to leave that alone, to be honest. Yeah, that's Allison Shablow there. Feel free to disagree, you know. My programme is a democracy. I regularly, as you well know, my radio programme, I host people who profoundly disagree with me. And I've invited the types of people who would dance with joy today because Shablow has been banged up. I've invited them on to take me on. These are the cowards who came after me a few months ago on Twitter. Put my address out there, threatened me, threatened my other half, these cowards. And then when challenged, they ran away. It's what they do, these people. I've offered them a platform. So come on, talk to me, explain to me why I'm wrong about Allison Shablow and Nick Collerstrom, why they should be persona non grata, why I should be labelled some sort of racist because I have entertained them on my programmes. But they don't take up the offer. They don't pick up the gauntlet, as it were. They run away, screaming abuse and threatening people and telling them that you shouldn't go on the Richie Allen show because he's harboured and promoted Holocaust deniers, don't you know? Which isn't true, of course. Not promoted anybody. I've just talked to them, which is what I do. I talk to people. Try to understand why it is they think as they do. Did you see this yesterday? You did? I'm sure you did. I played it on the radio show yet. Did you see this? You did?
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Jesus, huh? It's interesting, when we were listening to that yesterday, I think I played it 3 times on the show. The producer and writer, Tiffany Fitzhenry, at exactly the same time or I should say Jean Ann Crowley, who I think might be on the chat there, the actress and journalist, and Tiffany Fitzhenry at the same time said that was a performance, that was scripted. And the language she uses in it, talking about fairy tales of economic growth and all of that, you don't imagine it's the language of a 17-year-old kid, however well-read the kid might be. So yeah, that was Greta Thunberg. There was a UN climate summit yesterday in New York, and she gave a 4.5-minute address, which was very disturbing, wasn't it? Disturbing, really. I'll get a bit of flack for saying disturbing. Were you disturbed, were you, Richie? I'd be disturbed if I was related to her, I think. I don't think it's natural. I think she's being used. I'll leave it here. I said on the radio show yesterday, and you know I talk a lot of crap, me. I'll be the first to admit that. But I think she's been induced, I think. Or I'm not going to say it's too easy to say programmed. She's been convinced that she is a central character in an apocalyptic battle of good versus evil. So you've got an apocalyptic battle of good versus evil. And she's been convinced that she plays a central role in that. So I talked a little bit in the monologue yesterday about mythomania, which some people are conscious of and some people are not. And mythomania means different things to different people. But in the modern context, in the era of narcissism, virtue signalling, identity politics, mythomania means, in the modern context, people who believe in so you take, for example, somebody like Bono, say, who we talked about last night. Bono's mythomania manifests itself in his belief that there can't be any solution to Africa's problems, whatever those problems might be, without his involvement and intervention. That's how mythomania applies to Bono. Well, there can't be any solution to what's going on without my involvement in it. And I got a bit of flack for talking about mythomania in the independent media. Propagandists like Vanessa Beeley and Eva Bartlett. Mythomania in them manifests itself in the same way as it does with Bono. Nobody can talk about Syria or Western interference in Syria without our involvement, because we are the resistance to the attempted coup in Syria. It's mythomania. With Greta Thunberg, it's subconscious. I don't think she's a mythomaniac, but she's been induced to believe that there is a crazy battle for the soul of mankind, for the soul of the planet going on. And she believes that she's central to spearheading that or winning it ultimately. So that's what I think, right? And I agree with people who say it's a bit mean-spirited to be attacking this kid personally. But what are you going to do? We're coming for you. Your time is over. I hope not. I'm only 44 years old. Jesus Christ. I hope I've got a bit more time before I get Lord of the Flies scenario outside my front door, you know. But this is, it makes some of the newspapers today. We'll jump in and we'll have a look at the newspapers anyhow. I feel very strongly about the Allison Shablow thing. Right, I'm no friend of Allison's. What does that mean? I'm not disowning the woman or her appearances on the programme, but I've never met her. I don't have any emotional investment in Allison's story. And like I said, I find people who believe that the plight of Jews in Germany is a hoax. I find those people strange. And I want to know why they think as they do. You know, there are people who believe it was all made up, that Jews didn't get killed, right? But, like I said before, they live amongst us. I went through a period in my life where I almost became that narcissistic social media dweller that so many people are now, where I just not only do I not care about other people's opinions, but I shun them, or I kind of remove them from my life. I had a period like that in my late 20s. So sure was I that I knew everything about what was going on, that I ostracised people who saw the world different to me. Now I'm 44 and I'm becoming a bit more mature. I'm only growing up now. I'm kind of in the latter stages of adolescence still, my emotional growth. And now I don't fear, I don't hate, I don't despise people who see the world totally differently than I do. I want to spend a bit of time with them, find out why they think as they do. I don't believe anything is heinous or off limits or out of bounds. You know, people who think that black people are stupid or they have a low IQ. Yeah, I want to talk to that guy. Where did you get that from? What's going on with you? Let's have a conversation about it. We can't put them on an island somewhere. They're human beings. They have a right to exist as much as you and I have a right to exist. And to think as you and I have a right to think. So that's why the Allison Shablow thing really disturbs me. And I would hope, as I said that, you know, our Jewish friends and neighbours would say, yeah, this is very wrong, this, banging a woman up because of a song about a historical figure or about a historical event. Regardless of what she's saying in the song, regardless of how idiotic you might think it is, or hurtful, we can't have it. We can't have that. It is tyranny. It's not an exaggeration. It's not me going all melodramatic. This is tyranny. Where does it end? It morphs. It's the Holocaust. Today. Tomorrow it's something else that you can't say or you can't think. The day after it's something else that you might get a suspended sentence for. Then you might breach that suspended sentence. You're banged up for 8 weeks. Not for hitting anybody, not for stealing from anybody, not for murdering anybody, not for inciting violence against anybody, not for treason, not for regicide, not for homicide, but for singing a couple of songs. Jesus Christ, folks. Right? Let's look at the papers, eh? I don't know where I put them. Hang on. So much to get into today. My head is spinning, to be honest. The Supreme Court is going to announce this decision, by the way, at 10:30. You know all about this, do you? You do? About the proroguing. They're going to announce at 10:30 whether Boris Johnson, in their opinion, was legally within his right to suspend Parliament so that he could prepare a Queen's speech. His enemies, the Remainers, they say that he was bull spitting. They say that he didn't suspend Parliament so that he could prepare the Queen's speech. He did it so that there couldn't be proper scrutiny of his Brexit plan. When this was heard by the Supreme Court late last week, the government's lawyers didn't get into the argument. They wouldn't be drawn into an argument about whether or not he was doing it for the Queen's speech or whatever. His lawyers, or the government's lawyers, consistently argued, we shouldn't be here. This is a matter for government. This is a political matter, not a legal matter. That's what they said. They would not be drawn into an argument. The Remainers' lawyers were saying, he lied to the Queen, he shouldn't have prorogued, it was illegal, he lied and all of that. So they're going to announce at 10:30 their decision. We're not going anywhere. We're not leaving the European Union, so we're not. What's in the papers then? Let's have a look. The Mirror. Thomas Cook Fat Cat's 50 million bonanza. Again, because there's so much to talk about and I've not got much time. I've only got another 15 minutes. I'm not going to get into it, but you won't be surprised to learn of bad behaviour, of poor form by Thomas Cook executives, paying themselves massive dividends every year, massive bonuses, while the company wasn't doing so well, partly because of the dodgy acquisitions made by the company under their stewardship on their watch. Yeah. This is what happens. And thousands of people are out of work because of the greed of 4 or 5 people. That's how it works. Right? Daily Express, same story. They've got to pay back the bonuses. Good luck with that one. The Daily Mail, Thomas Cook Fat Cats had creamed off 47 million. Of course. The Times. PM attacks travel firm bosses' pay. Boris Johnson in the Times. According to the Times, Johnson, as himself Boris Johnson, here's the story, has come out strongly criticised the directors of the company for their behaviour. You've got to subscribe to the Times if you want to read that. That's in the Times. Let's move along swiftly. The Sun, day flight robbery, that's the pun. Airlines hike fares by 400%. Now, I don't know if this is true, but would it surprise you that after Thomas Cook collapses, its competitors drive their prices up through the roof? Anybody dying of shock watching this live stream? No? Didn't think so. In fact, some of the pundits opining about this Thomas Cook collapse yesterday morning, well, they predicted such a scenario. It's emerging that the Spanish and the Greeks and even the Italians might have offered assistance to Thomas Cook to help it steer these fairly rough waters, to save the employees and save the company. It's emerging that the government, the UK government, told him to fuck off. So I'm beginning to think my learned friend in Cleggan in the West and others might be right. Somebody or something wanted this company to fail. And they're repatriating 155,000 people today. Business correspondent for BBC News this morning said 100 million it's going to cost. But really that's a very low estimate. The company needed 200 million. It could have been rescued, and I won't tell you why because I told you yesterday. That's the Sun. Beginning to think there's a lot of merit in the claims that somebody wanted that company to go out of business. Daily Star, boxer Carl, the Earth is 100% flat. This is Carl Froch. You know, it's an open goal for his critics to say he's been hit upside the head one time too many, maybe. But he believes the Earth is flat. It's in the Star. Here's the story. He's accused NASA of being fake. Never a straight answer, says Carl. Might be right. Is he right about the flat Earth, is he? According to the Daily Star. There's no proof of the Earth's curvature. Oh, Jesus. But there is. There's loads of proof of the Earth's curvature even. I love this because I'll get them all on the chat now. It's brilliant. Makes me laugh. Carl believes the moon landing was fake too. On that, he might have a point. You see, you've got me there, Carl. It's not so easy to criticise you now. Anyway, that's in the Star. The Guardian. Corbyn sees off grassroots Remain demand amid conference chaos. They need to have a word with the front page editor for The Guardian. The old headlines are not what they used to be. Corbyn sees off grassroots Remain demand amid conference chaos. They had a vote yesterday on the conference floor at the Labour conference on whether Labour's official position going into the next general election should be to remain within the European Union. And the vote descended into fucking chaos. And the Telegraph is calling it a stitch-up this morning, because it appeared that the motion that Labour be a Remain party, it appeared that the motion was carried by the show of hands on the conference floor. But then there was a bit of commotion on the stage. Next thing, it was announced that the motion hadn't been carried and that Jeremy Corbyn won, that there wouldn't be any stated position by the Labour Party, that they would have a general election first and try to negotiate a deal. And people are saying it's a big stitch-up. It's pandemonium, what's going on at Labour. But all, of course, planned pandemonium. Was there a big stitch-up? Apparently there was people on the floor that weren't even supposed to be there, putting their hands up. All sorts of madness and chaos. It's in The Guardian. It's everywhere today. Brilliant. Telegraph, Corbyn accused of stitch-up in Brexit vote. Just talked about that. The I paper, if you fail us, we will never forgive you. We are watching, says Greta. It's all very interesting. The Trump thing was funny, wasn't it? Greta seeing Trump there on the floor. Come on. As if that wasn't arranged, you know, for the photo opportunity. What else have we got for you? That was the I paper. It's gotten so mad in certain parts of the United States that police officers are going to elementary schools and are arresting 6-year-old children for trivial misbehavioring. Basket case. Orlando. To be fair, the cop has been fired with extreme prejudice. How a cop ends up in a classroom taking 2 6-year-olds out in handcuffs is fucking beyond me. I couldn't tell you. But it's a basket case scenario, isn't it? The Orlando police put out a statement, and to be fair to them, it couldn't have been any stronger, saying that this is outrageous. And basically, the force is on special notice that this better not happen again in the future. But when you're hiring people specifically because they have a low IQ and because they use steroids, which is true, I'm not making that up, by the way. Steroid abusing, low IQ fucktards, and you're giving them a uniform. This is what you get. It's mad, huh? Sure, it's only mad. What else have we got? Speaking of Greta, the Daily Mail have helpfully hired a body language expert. And the body language expert was asked to look at the images of Greta's body language when Donald Trump crossed her path. So the body language expert, I love it. She went from excited to puzzled to angry. She wanted to stick her tongue out at him, but she instead stuck it in her cheek. Like that. And the body language expert concluded that Greta was really devastated that Trump hijacked her big moment. If you believe that. Patty Wood explained Greta's reaction. And it's in the Daily Mail. And you can read that for free online at dailymail.com. Cascade of emotions from young Greta there. Lovely. Shall I read a few comments, will I? Have I time? These are the papers. No one's flower says ridiculous that Greta nonsense using a kid to take the piss out of us. I think it's a bit more serious than that now, no one's flower. They're using her to do a little bit more than take the piss out of us. But I hear you. Hi to Mad Cow Jimmy. How you doing, Mad Cow Jimmy? ID Jeffrey. Martin Ellen, how you doing, Martin? Lovely. 26 says banning people from the internet is a new big thing It happens quite a lot now. You know, people say all the time that they're for freedom of speech, but they usually only say that when they feel that their own right to free speech is being challenged. Quite often the people who demand free speech, quite often for themselves, are the first to be kind of triumphalist when somebody else is banned. And this is the big problem, you see. You need to spend more time worrying about the right of those to speak with whom you disagree with than yourself and your own YouTube channel. You don't hear me bleating on about the shadow banning on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter, because it's not worth the time of day for me to be doing that. But I'll spend a lot of time, and I do spend a lot of time, championing the rights of those, often people I really despise, like old Yaxley Lennon himself there from Luton, not to be kicked off of Facebook or kicked off of YouTube, not to have their PayPal accounts closed down. They haven't broken the law. Doesn't matter how profoundly I disagree with them. Doesn't matter. They haven't broken any law. There should be no law against speaking your fucking mind and saying that which you believe to be true. Doesn't matter whether you are right or wrong. It's those people you have to stick up for. And not snigger because you don't like him. And then go crying yourself. It is that old adage. I don't know how it goes exactly. They came for the Jews. They came for the trade unionists. They came for whatever. And I didn't say a fucking word. Exactly. So I didn't care. Me. But then they do it to me. Ah! Yeah. Yeah, but they did it to other people first. And that's how it goes. Right? Where are we? We go back to the comments, and then we'll do a couple of final stories which are kind of interesting. Got Neil Saunders coming on the show tonight, by the way. Can't wait to catch up with Neil again. Oh, Christ, huh? I can't believe many comments are coming in. I'm doing this. Look, there are hundreds. I can't read them all, to be honest. The Celtic Crusader says that Tommy Robinson would never defend your free speech, Richie. Why? So what? I couldn't care less whether he would defend my right to say what it is I want to say. What are we, 5? You wouldn't stick up for me, so I'm not sticking up for you. Fuck off. It doesn't matter what he is or how odious the fucker is, and I think he is. I'll stick up for him. I stuck up for him when the independent newspaper were laughing at him because his European election campaign went down the shitter. They laughed at him and said he hardly got any votes and he didn't get his deposit back, and they laughed at him. And it's tempting for me to laugh because I can't stand him. But I didn't laugh. I wrote an article and I did a monologue explaining why it's no laughing matter that he got so few votes and he lost his deposit. Why? Because every fucking news program in this country broke Ofcom guidelines, and regulations about fair coverage during election periods. They fucking blacklisted him. They blacklisted the little bastard. And he's a rotten little bastard, isn't he? But they blacklisted him. They didn't give him fair coverage. He didn't get equal time on television and on radio. He got fuck all. Banned from YouTube, banned from Facebook, and then, oh, it's funny, isn't it? He only got 500 votes, and he didn't get his deposit back, Well, no, it's not fucking funny. Because they'll do it to you. It's not because, his stupid fucking ideology, his ridiculous characterization of Islam and Muslims in general. That's not the reason. They'll do it to you. They'll do it to anybody. So it's not funny. So stick up for people that you despise. I've had an email from a Jewish pal of mine and he doesn't mind being named. Okay? He doesn't mind being named. And I'll name him. In fact, I'll get him on the programme. And he said, you're fucking right, Richie. Allison Shablow, he said, in my opinion, is an arsehole, a fucking idiot. But how dare anybody jail her for saying something just because I don't like it. Norman Finkelstein's mother and aunt were in Auschwitz. They saw horrendous things happen to their own kind. And Norman Finkelstein would be sick to his fucking stomach that they've locked up Allison Shablow. Put your personal points of view to one side. Put your fucking identity politics to one side and say, yeah, I like that woman, but what the fuck is going on there? They're banging her up because she was blogging on her website. Come on. Don't call people obese anymore, even if they're obese. Just don't do it. You have to say that. They're living with obesity. And if you think my Tommy Robinson rant there and Allison Shablow rant there is not directly related to this, well then you're obviously not paying attention. The policing of language coming to a town near you real soon. The creation of more and more exotic vulnerable groups that must not be hurt or offended in any fucking way. Don't say they're obese. Say that they are living with obesity. Well, fucking kick it out then. Open the door and say, get out of my life, of my house. This is where it's all going to go. Living with obesity. Meet John. John comes into the room and John is 24 stone. He can barely fucking stand up. Meet John. John's living with obesity. Yeah. Yeah, he's not a big gluttonous bastard. No, he's not obese. No, he's not. He's living with obesity. And I know a lot of people are heavy. And I know they're not gluttonous. And I know that. I know that the environment, the processed food, salt in food. I know. I'm not having a go at heavy people. Jesus Christ, I'm not. I have family members who've been fighting obesity and fighting their weight for years. And they're the best people in the world. And they're not greedy, gluttonous fuckers at all or anything like it. But this is mad, right? Hey? Living with obesity. I'm sure you can come up with your own versions of that for everything, He's not a dwarf. He's living with dwarfism, but he's not really a dwarf. Where does it all end up, huh? Huh? Am I going to go, am I? I might have to go because there's loads to do ahead of today's programme. They gave out the FIFA Football Awards last night. Did you see that? Soccer Awards. And the best female player in the world is Megan Rapinoe. Do you know this woman? She played at the World Cup. She had a bit of a Twitter battle with Donald Trump. And she didn't go to the White House. I don't think any of them went to the White House to meet the Donald when they took home the World Cup from France. They won the World Cup, the American team. We all watched the World Cup, didn't we? We did. I watched quite a bit. I watched the closing stages, the quarterfinals, semi-finals. And so England did quite well. Got to the semis. And she gave a speech last night. And in the speech, she brought up racism and homophobia. Yeah. Because we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough to tackle racism and homophobia. People are not doing enough. Society is just not doing enough. And when I hear society is not doing enough, I'm going to leave you with this, and this might be a bit childish. It might be a bit infantile, a bit immature, a bit churlish even. But what are we going to have to do? Are straight people going to have to engage in just one night of sexual activity with these fuckers in order to convince them that we really don't care? We honest to Jesus do not give a fuck whether you are gay, straight, trans, bisexual, burst gender, polygender. We don't give a shit. Is that what it's going to come down to? Is every straight man in the world, just to get these people off our backs, going to have to perform oral sex on one of his mates just to show these people that we couldn't give a rat's arse what you are, and that there is no agenda against gay, lesbian people? None. We don't care. But we're tired of being fucking told that we are worthless, horrible, hateful homophobes. We're tired of being told that. We're tired of being gaslit by the likes of that fucking idiot there. Told we are that which we are not. Prejudiced, hateful, racist, angry, homophobes. We're not. You're lucky if you get 1 in 1,000 that gives a fuck about what you are. And the people who are, because of their religious beliefs or whatever, they're entitled to think whatever they want. So fuck off and leave us alone. We don't care. And that's it for me for this morning. Got to go and do some work on the radio show, which will be live at 5 o'clock on the usual channels. I know there's a lot of comments came in there, but I can't get into it, not this morning. I'm a bit knackered this morning, to be honest. I normally get 4.5 hours sleep. That's what I get. I got a good 6.5 hours, and I woke up like a zombie. So I need to have a cold shower, and I need to go for a run, and then go and prepare the radio program. So I'm going to do that now, and love you and leave you. All right. So until 5 o'clock, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him.